Welcome aboard FreeDive with Seapoint Digital, your go-to podcast for deep dives into the world of digital marketing. I'm Kristy.
And I'm Anna Lynn.
Your hosts navigating through the currents of growth, strategy, and innovation in the digital realm.
We're going to talk. We're going to laugh. It's going to be a good time.
Let's dive in.
Welcome to the FreeDive podcast. I'm Bill Cottrell, and I am here today with Kristy Billingsley, who is actually really like the person on the podcast. I am just sitting in with Kristy today.
Happy to have you here with me.
Thanks. Thanks for letting me do the intro.
I think, people like it when you're here. The analytics are better, so thank you for being here.
This is my first podcast with a beard.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, in the comments,
Yes. What do you think of the beard? Because this is the farthest, honestly, I've ever, in my adult life, has ever gotten with a beard.
Does that imply that as a teenager you were able to grow a bigger beard?
Or
child?
I know, but I probably should have grown a creepy mustache when I was 17.
I see.
Yeah, I never did. Really missed opportunity. But yeah, for those who...
It's not too late.
Yeah, for those of you who are on the video, you might be able to see it. I'd like to tell me that I look old, so, my wife will be happy and I'll shave it off. And if you're just listening to this auditorily, maybe you got a little beard scratching in the microphone right there.
You can feel it instead.
You can feel the fuzziness of my beard. It's actually still in the kind of the sharp, pokey hairs. I'm still not used to it as far as like rubbing my chin and feeling kind of something scratchy.
As a person who has never grown a beard, I can't relate to any of this.
But you've grown a mustache.
A little bit, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. So, yeah.
Try not to promote that.
HR department's calling me right now. I just feel like the HR department twitching right now. So,
what are we talking about?
I got two things to talk about today.
Let's do it.
We're gonna make a split episode here.
Okay.
First thing I think is topical is let's talk about 2025.
Yes, let's.
We are filming this on Monday, the day before the election.
Yes.
So, the world may end tomorrow.
Right.
And, half the people are going to be upset.
Yes.
Half the people are not going to be upset.
Yes.
It's going to be
divisive as usual.
Yeah, every 4 years.
I feel like it just will get more and more divisive.
Yeah, it's going to get more and more divisive. But you know what as a marketer I love about the election ending?
What's that?
My display ads can go back to a normal price.
Oh, explain that.
Well, you think about it, ads are an auction environment, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is if there's a lot of money flowing into advertising, that, for our little clients and not so little clients, but like the cost per click or the cost per 1,000 impressions, if there's a lot more demand for that ad space, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So it's interesting in some markets, you can see like a 15-20% increase in your costs for the same inventory that you'll see after the election.
I would have never even thought of that. I'm learning something.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too because like you think about the cycle is you're going to go from a cycle of as far as demand for ad spend and inventory both on YouTube, the Google Display Network, social ads. It's a really fascinating cycle for the elections, right? So you might get it a little bit more like with regional elections in the other 2 years. So like there might be a Senate race in 2 years that like in your state will spend a lot of money. But like the election cycle for the presidency is definitely your biggest push. And it really depends what state you're in. So again, if we're trying to market something in one of those battleground states, there's millions and $1 of just being pumped into there. So it's just going to make our ads more expensive, harder to show, harder to get the right audiences that we want. And what makes it really weird and difficult is you think about this period of time is ad costs go up and then they're going to drop.
After tomorrow,
they're going to drop. But then you really only have a window of about 2 to 3 weeks and then holiday shopping. So B2C consumer those types of ads, especially for anything that's impacted as far as needing a strong holiday season. It's going to go back up. So it's really, unfortunately, like a short reprieve of just a few weeks of kind of seeing a stabilization of ad prices.
Is there anything besides politics and holidays that highly affect
those are really your two biggest. And again, it depends on, like what market you're in. Again, if you're B2C or B2B, there's other times like B2B sees a real slowdown in December because, people aren't making decisions. I think right now, especially in our industry, so, marketing, people with other business professional services, I think right now is a time period where they're particularly active because we're coming up on the new year, and right now is when everyone's finalizing their budgets or are completing their finalizations of their budgets for the 2025 year. And so I think, those types of companies are, B2B are also making a big push to get right in front of but that's a lot more like specific audiences versus like a broad targeting demographic for which you're going to bump up against with something like the election ads.
So is there any takeaway from that? Is there any here's what you can do, or is it just kind of like it is what it is, you just have to pay more?
It is what it is. And then I think, though, it is a good...
Or strategy-wise?
Well, strategy-wise, I mean, it depends on, your cycle of what you're marketing yourself. But I think it's just a case of, especially if you're using a third party, having that realization that, if you're like, wow, why are my ad costs up 15, 20%?
That's just an explanation.
Yeah, it's not that they're doing worse targeting. It's just you're going up against that big money from the political campaigns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just another crappy thing of being alive.
Just another thing about this two-party political system that we live in.
Yep.
And it's funny, you think about it, for those ad delivery systems, how much they make during this period of time.
Yeah.
And how much, they value, I wonder if they did a study, how much more money Google makes on close election years versus if it was a blowout or maybe it's 2 or 3 really tight states.
Yeah. Is that private information?
It probably is. I've never seen anything publicly. Google's a publicly traded company, so they must have to do quarter reports of income earned, but I don't think they get down granular to be okay, this part of the network made X, or we made money from other services.
Weird.
Yeah, but it is a good segue into thinking about 2025.
Yes. What specifically?
So, again, I was saying how right now is a time where marketers, marketing departments, internal marketing departments at companies, I think are really looking for what's going to be the big thing in 2025, or what do we need to move resources, or what tactics are we looking at? And I think it's a good time to talk about that.
In years past, how have you kind of looked ahead and figured that out?
I think for me, it's been a lot of looking at what are other companies doing really well right now, and then kind of looking at the emerging technologies. I think what's really thrown a spanner in the mix, if you will, using a little UK slang there.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. For maybe my one UK listener.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, unless, Rachel must be listening.
Yeah, Rachel. The throwing that wrench in and everything is, I think there's always a fad of a technology or a tactic. And the fad, blockchain in the past, and people get really excited about, or I think different targeting as far as programmatic was the big thing. Everyone was talking about programmatic. I think the one that's been more difficult is everything is AI.
Yeah.
And you and I, we've talked a lot about AI.
Mm-hmm.
I think the issue is like cutting through hype to what is really useful with AI.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Um, AI that I find that I don't particularly like or I don't think is ready for prime time, one of them is like Google Gemini.
Okay. Why is that?
So, they're trying to embed it in Google Workspace.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been running that for about a month. And it just like it has not saved me any time.
Yeah.
And, for being like, oh, like we can summarize your email. And I'm like, yeah, well, I can just read the email. It's, it took me 10 seconds to read the email.
Right.
Or like the things that it produces in slides. Now, I haven't used it really well in Excel, so maybe there's some, I mean, in Sheets, there might be some better things there, but like using it um, in like docs or slides, I just haven't gotten a lot of usage of it that I'm like, oh, that saved me some time or that was really useful.
And it's Gemini that pops up in Google search right at the top that gives you like a quick summary of search results.
Yeah, I think Google just uses Gemini for basically anything that they do.
Is Google owned, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I do see is that's different is the notebook,
Yeah.
which I am really excited about Google Notebook. If you haven't used it, it's a great being able to take larger data
Mm-hmm.
and summarize it. And it's got that great podcast feature,
Yeah.
which I would love to start using for clients, but I feel like it's going to be super recognizable in
Voice-wise.
voice-wise, format-wise, and you're going to start seeing that used in a lot of different ways.
Especially if you just do it in a way that makes it come out to sounding cheap
Yeah.
and low quality.
But I don't think it sounds cheap and low quality like the podcasts we've done with it. Like we've put together podcasts based on our like a couple of our case studies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In fact, maybe if you get a chance, we can put that podcast up as a bonus content
Yeah.
for this podcast,
Yeah.
if anyone wants to listen to. So what we did was we took one of our case studies and we fed it in a Notebook LLM, and it created a awesome podcast talking about our efforts with our client, the Texas Medical Association Insurance Trust, and it does not sound like it's AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a tool I'm excited about. I'm also excited. I'm not super excited about as far as marketing some of the tools that are automating automating presentations. I just haven't seen anything that's come. Like I got Gamma, and I was excited about Gamma. Gamma's one of these like PowerPoint type creates presentations for you.
Okay.
And some parts of it, I was like, well, it's got some good features as far as you can give it an outline of what you want it to create. But like there's so much editing that needed, and the images just were so AI. Like it wasn't anything that I would ever put in front of a client.
Yeah.
So like those tools I don't think are quite there yet.
Yeah.
And then like everybody's rolling out their AI tools, right?
Yeah.
Like Copilot on your Microsoft device now, or HubSpot's got Breeze.
Even like just small things, like there's built into Instagram, it's built into Canva, it's built into your phone, like in a lot of small ways. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like cutting through like what of it is a novelty thing that's
Right.
like, oh, that's cute.
Or we must include it because it's trendy.
Right. Or what actually saves time or helps me to make better decisions. And that's where I'm kind of, as far as like all these platforms, they're baking it in now and being like, oh, this is what's going to be super valuable for 2025. But what of that is actually really going to be a valuable tool, and what of it is just going to be a distraction?
Yeah.
That's the part I'm still sorting through.
Yeah. So thinking about that for client work next year.
So I do think one of the things that is going to allow is it's going to allow more multimedia production with AI, especially for topics that might be non-exciting topics.
Okay.
So in your B2B realm, I think it is going to be able to give the option of maybe for marketing, we've just been putting out blogs and web pages, that we can start creating better video content, better social content, with some of these tools. That's where I am excited about it. Faster, but also, being able to take what we would call boring marketing. So marketing, like technical, like again, we're primarily in insurance and banks as our focus. Taking those types of clients and being able to produce something that's going to be useful for their consumers. Where it's insurance is a great one because there's a lot of details. There's a lot that people need to be educated. But who wants to read a 4-page blog on disability insurance and the ins and outs of it?
Right.
Where I think you'd rather be able to consume it, in a bite size or in a video format where things are explained. But up until now, like how do you do that in a video format?
And I think that's part of what goes into making those decisions is every year people are consuming content differently. There was a time when people would sit down to read a blog, and then there was a time when they wanted it shorter, or then everyone wanted videos, but then they weren't really listening to videos with the audio on, so you had to caption everything. And now, you know what I mean? So like as things move through time, it's like how are people going to be insisting on consuming their content next year?
Yeah, and I think just also our attention spans are so short.
Yeah.
That that we are consuming these just like bite-sized pieces versus instead of one long piece of content, getting in front of them with 3-4 smaller pieces of content.
Yeah.
And I think as that goes, people are going to do more and more like outlandish things to jump in front of attention.
Yes.
Nutter butter. Or is it Nutter Butter?
I don't know.
The cookies? The deranged, like somebody's on acid over at Nutter Butter.
Oh, I vaguely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What did they do? I don't remember.
You just gotta look at their TikTok and wonder who's on drugs.
No, I'm thinking of Dunkin' Donuts for Halloween. Did you
with
see
their
all of
spider
that?
their spider stuff?
It's so funny. Listen, humor in marketing works.
Yes.
And that went viral and was very, very funny.
Yes.
I love humor in marketing.
I do too.
I'm very pro for that.
Can we take a pause for a moment and talking about something going viral? And again, appropriate. We are the last day before the election, and New York State killing squirrels.
I didn't hear about that. Tell me what you're talking
What?
What are you talking about?
Kristy.
Tell me what you're talking about.
It's time to it's small talk with Kristy and Bill. Okay.
I love these moments when someone doesn't know about something
Holy
else going
Roman
on.
Empire. Not too holy, not too Roman. Talk amongst yourself. It's coffee talk time. Coffee talk.
New York's killing squirrels.
Okay. This is the crazy one to me is how this election cycle's gone, right? So first of all, let's back up a week, right? Madison Square Garden, Tony, do you know what his last name is? The comedian that does all the roasts. Like he was on the Tom Brady roast. He's a professional roast comedian, basically just making fun of everybody. And they booked him as like one of the openings to the Trump campaign.
Okay.
At the big Madison Square Garden rally.
For
Trump, right?
Okay.
And like obviously nobody vetted this guy to be like, hey, this is the biggest political stunt we're throwing and we're going to get speakers. Let's get this guy whose entire comedy is enraging and making fun of people.
Oh, boy.
And he's the guy who got on and talked about the giant island of floating garbage and said it was Puerto Rico.
Oh, my God.
Like at an election event in New York. Like, and everybody was just like, can you imagine, like, he just derailed the entire campaign? Because, the other campaign jumped on it immediately and was just like...
Yep, look at what he's done.
Yeah, like, he's called everyone Puerto Rican garbage. Like, there goes the Puerto Rican vote. And, that would just seem like the biggest faux pas of everything. So, there was that in in the election cycle, and we're like, man, whoops, that's bad. And then somebody asked Biden about it, who's not running, right? So Grandpa Biden now, they're like, what do you think about this Puerto Rican's garbage comment? And he's like, well, Trump's followers are garbage. So then that all became, everyone's talking about like that, like it was
That was Biden's response?
yeah,
Oh my
like
God.
he did like a reverse Uno card, like.
Oh my God.
So there's all that going on, and then over the weekend, there's this TikTok personality who has Peanut the squirrel. This guy this married couple, they had a squirrel and a raccoon, and it was like he saved it as a baby, and it was his pet, and it was all over the TikTok and Instagram, like this family with a squirrel. Some crazy Karen lady was upset because it was against the law or didn't have a permit, so called it in to like the environmental police in New York, who raided their house with a SWAT team.
Oh my word.
And put Peanut down. They euthanized the squirrel.
Okay.
This internet celebrity squirrel.
Euthanized it how? Like shot it on sight?
No, I think they took it back to wherever. But like, can you imagine?
A SWAT team.
But can you imagine a SWAT team showing up to raid your house for your pet squirrel? And then taking it and killing it and doing it the week before the election?
What
like
idiots.
To be like, oh man, the Twitter memes about Peanut and
Oh, that's so sad.
like all these memes of Peanut with Harambe in heaven. And I'm just like, but I'm just like, what a weird news cycle, social media cycle that got people upset about government overreach and the need to curtail government because someone raided a house over a squirrel. And that's like become like a political story. And I just would love to see Trump get in a squirrel costume for like one of his final like we've reached that level of crazy train to be like, I support Peanut. I like there was a fake memo went out about like Trump's support of Peanut. I think it was fake. But
it could be real.
It could be
Who
real.
knows?
You never know. But I just think it's like what if what if Peanut the squirrel was the thing in the end that swayed the election?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, no one would be shocked, honestly. Like at this point, it is all so crazy.
Yeah, it's also crazy.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So Peanut.
Oh, I'm so sad for him. Poor Peanut.
Yep.
I hope he was peacefully euthanized.
And who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not just bring him back to some kind of animal rehabilitation? Why does he need to die?
Yeah.
Maybe he was rabid. I'm going to tell myself he was rabid.
I bet that's what the government's trying to say to cover up their...
I have to believe it, so I feel better about it.
Yeah. And they got the raccoon,
he was actually
too.
a murderer squirrel.
Somebody was like, wait for all of Peanut's racist tweets to come out.
Oh my God.
I've been seeing them like replacing like George Floyd with Peanut's head on like the pictures from like trying to equate.
I can't even imagine how many stupid memes there are.
The internet is a horrible but amusing place. Yep.
I hadn't even heard about that.
Yep.
But to be fair, I was out this weekend and I asked a couple people. I brought up the name Raygun. You know who Raygun is?
Oh, yeah.
And the people I was with were like, I don't know who you're talking about. And I'm like, Raygun, the Australian breakdancer. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, how do you not know what I'm talking about?
So that is a funny thing about working in marketing, right? Like we unfortunately have to be like on the cutting edge of cultural zeitgeist. Like that's not the right word. Zeitgeist?
It feels like you're on the right track.
Maybe I'm just going to mouth it. And then she can just like put the word in. Yeah, I don't know.
I can AI your voice.
AI my voice being like these cultural moments, like, and we have to have our pulse on it. And like we know these like the weirdest like little trends on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and any normal sane person, like my wife works in insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm be like, I'll come home and I'm be like, did you hear the craziness about Peanut the squirrel? And she's just like, I don't have any room in my brain for that, Bill.
That's so true. I
Yeah,
don't have any storage left for that dumb,
yeah,
dumb meme crap.
yeah. She just, or like I have to explain memes to her, and I'm like, this is adorable. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you know that Raygun is challenging people that if they are a better breakdancer than her, she's paying up to $10,000. So if you're looking to make any
How
money,
did she how does she have any money to do that?
if you're looking to make any money, easy money, you can make $10,000 from Raygun.
I'm gonna start practicing my worm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have to fly to Australia to do it?
I don't know.
Maybe it's all.
We should look into it. We
Yes.
should all start practicing breakdancing.
Oh, I would break a hip. I'm at that point in my life. I'd be like, I'm gonna do it. My
Who do you think in the office would be our best shot at
at
being a good
breakdancing.
breakdancing?
I'm gonna say something controversial here.
Yeah?
I think Anna. I think Anna's got some secret Florida breakdancing,
I think you could be right.
or maybe Dan.
Well, Deb is a dancer,
That's true.
but I don't know if she's breakdancing is a different
It's
kind
a different.
of
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. I just can't see Deb.
I bet Kevin could bust out some really
Kevin.
strange.
I bet Kevin
bizarre.
probably can do the caterpillar. Or, I mean, like he's probably like Pop and Lock. Pop. That was his
Who
nickname.
do you
in
think's the least likely?
Tim. Tim breakdancing would just like break my brain. Yes, he could never.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's not going to make us the money.
he's not gonna make us any money. He could actually be worse than
Raygun.
Raygun.
He could go up head to head with her, I think, but it'd be a close call.
Yeah. So what about you, Kristy? What predictions do you have for 2025 marketing?
I think the way that video is heading is continues to be different. I think that the expectations of how your videos are made are continuing to be. You really have to keep up with the ways people want to consume content, and so I think that, especially for how I make videos, is going to have to continue to be smarter, and more. And I'm eager to see how social media is going to change and who's going to be on what platforms.
Do you think influencer marketing is going to be more or less significant in 2025?
I'm hoping, I don't know. I feel like possibly less if I had to guess, just because there are so many influencers. But that could, in fact, be the reason that it will be more. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's going to be less impact, and I think the election cycle shakes that a little bit because people are seeing like what really is the influence of someone publicly giving their stand for something.
That's a good point.
And then I think because of the polarization of that, it especially for influencers that are being political either way, right?
Right.
Like you are going to anger part of your demographic. So there's going to be a lull after that.
Right. And what do you think about cancel culture?
I mean, cancel culture in an election year is always the worst because there's that, again, there's that large population either way that's going to be disenfranchised and feel that things are going in a wrong direction, and they're going to blame people that were vocal, and and if it's people on the right are going to be like, oh, the Hollywood elites, and then like we shouldn't listen to them anymore. What do they really have to share for us? And then on the other side, again, people that are you see it all the time. Like Sticker Mule, I think is a great example. Like I had no idea of any type of politicalness of where I bought my stickers.
Yeah.
Right. Stickers Mules was like everybody in the office liked Sticker Mule because, they would have so many good deals. Right. It was just kind of like, oh, let's hold out and see what type of cool deal Sticker Mule throws out.
Yeah.
And then like they went like super mega. And I don't know the full story behind it, but like the amount of people that were just like, oh, I'm never buying from Sticker Mule again.
Yeah.
And, like that kind of divisiveness,
Yeah.
like people are sowing the seeds for right now. Like people's attention to that stuff, I think, wanes. So, but I think you're still going to look at like a 6-month period where 6 months where people are still going to be very wary, kind of either celebrating or licking their wounds, and as far as like who they support and kind of remembering where people stood.
Well, and I think that way that cancel culture keeps fitting into influencer marketing is I keep seeing more and more that the expectation of influencers to get involved in one way or another, and if they get involved in a way that then cancels them, then they're canceled, and then the expectation like why are you not using your platform to speak up? Free Palestine. Why are you not speaking on this platform since you have this big platform? So it's like the expectation of them to be using their platform for something political. And then if they don't, that turns into them getting canceled. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if that will move influencers to not find it worth it anymore.
But I mean, they may not say it worth it. I mean, that's their livelihood, so they're going to still do it. It's just whether the impact and whether they're going to be listened to.
Enough,
yeah,
right.
And the hard data on that too. Like, is it going to be worth investing in influencers?
Yeah.
I mean, I think your traditional influencers, like your sports people, and other, people that marketing has always traditionally tagged movie stars, sports heroes. I think just kind of these fringe, YouTube stars and things like that, like whether Jake Paul is going to be able to still walk after his time with Mike Tyson or not, things like that to be seen. But like those types of influencers, I wonder about like influencers who are just influencing for the sake of their influence.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones are the ones I think are the most vulnerable versus someone like people have an affinity toward them because they're a musician or they're, they may not, they may separate a little bit more of their personal views from them as far as like recommendations and things like that. But
yeah, I don't know.
I'm probably still going to buy something if Jeremy Swayman, holds it up on TV. I mean,
it'd be hard not to.
It'd be hard not to as a Boston sports fan.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard just because look at him. Look at him.
It's funny to me that you know who Jeremy Swayman is.
Obviously, I do.
Yes. Or you're really good at faking your hockey knowledge.
No.
Oh, yeah, that Jeremy Swayman.
Obviously, I'm on that side of TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I was going to bait her into being like, Jeremy Swayman really shoots a really great three-pointer.
No. He's guarding that goal.
All right. It's legit. It's legit.
It's legit. No, I'm stuck on that side of TikTok. I want to be.
Yeah. So, well, I think we're going to wrap this, but
yeah.
I think if you're listening to this and you're in the comment section, I'd love to hear your predictions for 2025.
Yeah, I also would.
Maybe you could make a short inflammatory TikTok about me saying something, and then we could just anger people so they'll rage comment.
Yeah. What about rage bait?
Yeah. Peanut deserved to die.
Okay, that's our clip.
Canceled.
And that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough.
For today. Podcast canceled. I think it will increase engagement. That's why people do it.
The engagement, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Leave us comments.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on our podcast and listening to podcast talk.
And please, Bill, come back and see us again soon.
Well, I will because my office is right upstairs.
Perfect.
It's not a bad commute to do a podcast.
Perfect.
All right.
See you guys next time.
It's the end. No, it's not. There's more.
There's always more.
Don't be sad. You can catch our full video interviews on our YouTube channel. Come find us.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends so that we're not sad.
And follow us on TikTok.
and Instagram.
It'll make your day happier, promise.
And we'll know if you do it. Until next time.